Marzuno sums it up quite nicely in the comments. He says, where to start? Briefing against Rodgers, Maeda fiasco, or that waste of paper last night. How did we become the banter club? It's actually quite impressive how Celtic have managed to find another way to make the transfer window look bad.
Well, there's that. They went and claimed the Rangers title, haven't they? The one thing Rangers could boast was that they were beyond, there was no comparison in terms of the inability to botch up your PR and, I think it was, statement o'clock, statement tennis, all this stuff. That statement from Celtic last night was one of the worst statements I've ever seen from a club that is so professionally run most of the time. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know if there's something in the tap water, but this is almost impossible to fathom. Now, if you're a big club and Celtic consider themselves, and they are, to be a big club, it defies logic that you can make such basic, rudimentary PR mistakes. And if you were in charge of Celtic's PR, Dan, or if I was in charge, and somebody from the boardroom came down and said, look, it's a great idea for a statement. Oh, do you? Right, okay. Yep, we need to obviously run it past you. Okay, let me have a look. Okay, give me that bit of paper, please. There, that's where we start with that. That goes in the bin, and don't be so stupid. If you want to have another go at that, have another go at it. Let me do it if you don't. Because I tell you what the statement says. The statement says, guys, we are so sorry. This is on us. It's our fault. Look, we could come up with 100 different excuses. We could try blaming the media. But the bottom line is, this is our fault. And we apologise for it profoundly and sincerely. And we hope the manager can stick with us. And we hope you guys can stick with us, because you deserve better than we've just given you. That's your statement.
Yeah.
But, how anybody looked at that from a PR perspective and said, that's a good idea, put that out, that'll win them back. Because what you've just said is, you've accused the Celtic fans of being over-expectant and naive to the point that, they're believing stories. And by the way, there wasn't a lot. So that's disingenuous at best. All the names that I saw being linked with Celtic over the last few weeks, Celtic were in for them.
Aye.
There was truth in all of them. Maybe there was a few that slipped away that I don't know, I didn't see. But the vast majority was all absolutely vindicated, legitimate stories.
Yeah.
It was Celtic's fault that they couldn't get the deals done.
And when you mentioned gaslighting as well, Keith, I thought the line that particularly jumped out to me was the thing about, look, throwing money away on or getting involved in high-cost transfers, it's detrimental. Look at what's happened to other clubs. Celtic fans aren't expecting that. They just want the players that have gone to be replaced, at the very least.
I mean, honestly, that is the point of desperation when you're pandering to your supporters. By the way, you're not pandering. You think you're pandering, but you're antagonising them still further because you're saying, well, look at Rangers. Look, stop it. Stop the whataboutery. That's not the Celtic's board concern. All the Celtic fans, as you said, Dan, quite rightly, the Celtic fans are sitting there saying, you've sold Kyogo in January, you didn't replace him. You've sold Nicholas Kuhn in an unseemly rush at the start of the window. You had plenty of time. You didn't have one lined up. And by the end of the day, you hadn't properly replaced him. Jota injury, obviously. And then on the final day, you sell Adam Idah with no replacement before the window shuts. And then it's just a Hail Mary shot on Iheanacho to see if he's going to be anything like the player that he once was. It's amateur hour. I wonder where Brendan Rodgers' head is at. There is also this, supposed leak from inside the club claiming that Brendan Rodgers has been trying to engineer his way out. Now, somebody will need to explain that one to me. And I've tried to say on what basis and what substance was there to this story or this claim. What has Brendan Rodgers exactly done here, other than sit quietly waiting for you to sign some players that you didn't manage to get?
And he's actually Keith in Prescott, I think anyway, been quite complimentary of the board. He's come out and said this board bleeds for the club, and
it's almost as if he's been, come on guys, and trying to help them, and help them get to where they needed to be, and they just didn't want to get there. Now I don't know. Maybe somebody somewhere believes that Brendan Rodgers was being difficult behind the scenes. Maybe Celtic said, we've got this one, we've got that one, or that one. I don't want them. But that's not really been difficult. That's a manager who's trying to keep standards high, who's trying to replace the players that have left with players of at least equal quality and hopefully better quality, because that's what moving the club forward is all about. I think this is incredible. I can't believe that Celtic have allowed themselves to get into this situation, because they're experienced guys, the guys running this football club. And also, I'm really struggling to understand, Daniel, why they're getting themselves into such a state that they're making such blatant, obvious mistakes as that statement. Because, it's not as if they haven't been in this movie before. This is not a new thing where they've, mishandled a situation, a transfer window, whatever. There's a bit of unrest. Write it out. You've been here before. You're actually making things worse. You're pouring petrol on the fire here. And you don't need it, because do you know what? If I'm Celtic and I'm looking at it, I just say, look, everybody stay calm. There's a very high chance that Rangers will drop more points at home to at home to Hearts when the league gets back up and running, and that Celtic could extend their lead possibly to 9 points. And by that point, everything calms down. Yet Celtic, without playing any games, they've actually antagonised their supporters and got them even angrier than they were when the window shut. And that's quite some doing. I didn't think that'd be possible, but well done, Celtic. You've done it.
Hi. We've got plenty of comments coming in already. If you want to get involved, let me throw a few of them at you, Keith. To start with, actually, Rebel and Sean McMillan are both saying 1,000 words in that statement.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, no name on it either, which is really poor. But 1,000 words and not one mention of Brendan Rodgers.
By the way, the no name on it is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Because it smacks of cowardice. Who sanctioned this? Who wrote it? Who felt this was a good move? I can only assume that Michael Nicholson, the invisible chief executive, must have had some part in it. He at the end of the day, he must have sanctioned that.
I had to, surely.
Sure, but that cannot go out without the approval of the chief executive, surely. So why is the chief executive's name not on it? Why doesn't he have the courage to put his name to it? I found that an insult to the Celtic supporters, to be perfectly frank. And I've seen all sorts of, who knows if it's true or not, but all sorts of suggestions that it looks as if it was an AI job. I mean, it's extraordinary, Dan. If that's the case, I mean, I'm not saying that is the case, but it might be from the from the tone of it, from the mistakes, from the actual inability to read a room. You would think this has been written by a piece of software that has no understanding of the environment in which we operate and the levels of frustration and anger among the club support. A computer with no sense of feel for that might turn that out and think, this is good, this works. Honestly, Daniel, I'm flabbergasted by it. I cannot believe the mess that Celtic are making of themselves right now. And
Rob,
the important thing is the season has just started. There's so much for Celtic to play for, but they've already blown the Champions League. It looks as if, very much, because what you're hearing is that supporters are there's a campaign on now to not buy the packages for the Europa League games. Mm-hmm. So you've blown the Champions League. You could be playing in front of half-empty stadiums in the Europa League. You've managed to piss off your manager. You've managed to insult the support. It's almost as if, honestly, if I don't know, it's almost as if Andrew Kavanagh has somehow hacked into Celtic's database and kind of got his computer hackers to put this plan together, because Rangers couldn't have hoped for it better. And as I said the other day, Dan, when the transfer window was still open, Rangers were 6 points behind Celtic in the league and 6 points behind Hearts, let's not forget. But at that point, that felt big, a big 6 points. Right now, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't now.